Okay. All right. What is this?
Ma'am,
Is this episode 4?
this is four. Yeah.
Dude,
But
4
see,
and
it's so been drive news that we've forgotten what episode
yeah.
we're on. That's how much of a drought we've been in with
Yeah,
nerd stuff
it's been so sad, dude. Nothing to talk about.
until today.
And even today, kind of like it was just reiterating what they talked about last year in a way. But
It was a
um,
repeat. We're talking about fandom today, and it was most of it was truly just a regurgitation.
yeah,
Like when you really think about
yeah,
it.
yep. So topics for today are going to be obviously DC Fandome, the movies, the shows, the games that they've announced, added trailers for, and then also a little sprinkle in here. We're going to throw some MCU on just because I woke up out of my sleep at 4 a.m. in a cold sweat because I was given a vision of what the MCU is gonna head towards. So we're gonna break that down a little
Yeah.
bit. So yeah. It's just me and Christian today. Hope you like our faces because this is what you get. Okay, so this MCU rabbit hole that we're gonna go down. Okay, so I want to start with kind of just a question. And you may, I mean, it may be something that I feel like I've just discovered and you've assumed all along. But
Okay.
so right now, where we are in the MCU, let's think about what movies have just come out, like since Endgame. What movies have come out? What movies are gonna come out in the very close future, like this year and then spring of next year before we get to the summer blockbusters. So we've had Venom, which is a big one, with the fact that Venom is now in the MCU canon. He's in that universe,
Yeah.
and that plays into into a big part of where I'm going. We have
It's an incredibly important credit scene there.
right,
Yeah.
right.
That
Well,
implies a lot.
we've had the Eternals, which is we are going to have the Eternals in a couple of weeks come out. And then we got in December, we have Spider-Man No Way Home, which kind of breaks the seal on this multiverse idea, kind of gets all that going, leading into Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness in spring. Um, so you kind of look at where we're going, that the whole theme of what we're doing in media right now. You've got Venom just came out, right, and that's a big one. Spider-Man-ish, like the Spider-Man themed story arcs are kind of where Marvel's focusing right now. With the movies, with the Venom movie, even with Morbius coming out, even though that's kind of a sleeper.
I was just about to mention Morbius. Yeah.
Everybody kind of just forgot about that because
Hmm.
you haven't seen anything on it, but that's still a thing. And then even in the video games, I mean, right now the next Spider-Man game that was just announced, Venom is a villain in the Spider-Man game. So that whole world is kind of where Marvel as a whole is focusing, whether it be Sony or the cinematic universe or what Disney has. I mean, that's all where they're focusing. And you look at like, okay, why did they make Shang-Chi? Why are they making Eternals? Why are they making these movies that seem like they're one-offs? And then it clicked to me after the end credit scene in Venom. In the end credit scene in Venom, Venom talked about how the symbiotes have this nexus of hive mind knowledge that spans billions of light years and across multiple universes. And to just to the basic eye that watches that movie, you think, oh, okay, so he's just talking about the MCU. Now they're going to try to include this in the MCU. This is how they do it. But it's deeper than that. And I say that because, and I only say that because we have the Eternals coming out. With Venom creating that, or just saying the word hive mind, it implies the existence of the character Null. I don't know. Do you know who Null is?
No, tell me.
Okay, good. That makes it even better, dude. Great. All right. So, Null in the in Marvel's comic book universe is the creator of the symbiotes. Null was a godlike being. He's actually in the Marvel comic books. He's the god of darkness, the Void. He was there before the Celestials created the 7th iteration of the universe, which is where we are currently in Marvel. Is the 7th iteration. There were 6 beforehand. They're not really talked about other than like some little side comic book things. But so the Celestials created this seventh universe, and as they were spreading light across the darkness, Null got pissed because he ruled over the void. He ruled over darkness. That's where he drew his power from. And so as the Celestials were creating all this life, Null, confronted them and said, hey, stop what you're doing. I ruled this area. And they just, obviously, they threw him off and kept creating. And so he, in his anger, because he's this benevolent, evil figure, he creates...
You mean malevolent evil figure?
Yeah, malevolent.
But
What is the difference?
Malevolent, yeah. Malevolent's evil, benevolent's good.
Oh,
and
okay,
Null,
yeah.
Null sounds evil.
Malevolent, sorry, not benevolent. My bad. So Null creates these weapons out of his own shadow, out of his own darkness, and he calls them the Clintar. He wears them as a suit, and it creates this weapon for him called the Dark Sword. He uses this Dark Sword to cut off the head of a Celestial in this big, they told him no, they're going to keep creating. So he comes back with a sword and kills the closest Celestial to him, which, if you think about it, is this almost impossible feat because the Celestials are what created everything in the comic books. So he cuts the head off of that Celestial, and he lives in this forge inside of the Celestial's head because the rest of the Celestials teamed up against him. Were like, how dare you? You've crossed the line. So they kind of cast him out, and he lives inside of the Celestial's head. And he forges, so it's called the Clintar because in his language, Clintar means cage. So his whole idea of creating them and naming them that is that you will not escape my power. You're not going to escape my, my might or whatever. So he called it cage. After he kills that Celestial and is banished off to this dark area of the universe, he sees his job as being done. So he says, okay, I'm done with you guys. You served your purpose. So he tries to rip the Clintar off of him. And the Clintar are the first iteration of the symbiote. So they form this bond with Null in like a, we want to serve you as much as possible forever. And and he's like, he doesn't care. He created him for a purpose and kind of just cast him off to the side. So those four Clintar sit in darkness for thousands of years on this planet that Null cast them to whenever he ripped them off of himself. They sit in this planet until this alien race lands on this planet in like an exploration situation, and they find it. They find the symbiotes kind of like just laying there. And the symbiotes, in their infancy, they want to spread goodness. They want to spread their ability to help others. And because the symbiote, what it does is it enhances your abilities. So they want to like spread this and kind of just give it to everyone because they see themselves as a gift. So this alien race takes the Clintar back to their planet, and the Clintar start covering every being on this planet. Everybody's, becoming a symbiote. And there's this one guy.
This becomes the symbiote planet, right?
Well,
kind of.
No. So, this one guy, who's kind of like a prophet on that planet, speaks out against the Clintar. And they're like, listen, all of you are becoming this alien race. It is destroying our culture and just making us and who we were non-existent. And the Clintar were like kind of confused and didn't understand why he was against it. So one of the main Clintar tried to like sneak up on him and like not attack him, but like latch to him so that he could understand like where they were coming from and why they felt like they were such a benefit. He killed that Clintar with fire because obviously symbiotes' weaknesses are sound and fire. In the light of that Clintar, because there were only four at the beginning there. They spread themselves amongst all the people on that planet, but there are four main. At the time of the death of that one, which the alien race is kind of named the Four Sisters because they took on the shape of like a female symbiote. At the death of that one, the other three sisters kind of just like mentally broke, and they were like, oh, okay, because they were already cast aside by Null as like trash. and then they try to help this alien race, and then again they're seen as like, oh, we're not appreciated. You know, you're not gonna, if we can't bond with you, then we'll just control you at that point. You know, so what they do is they take the body of their dead sister, throw it in this fire on this planet, and it creates two things. One, it creates this this giant symbiote dragon that's like the space dragon that kind of flies around, and it's such a small story in the Marvel universe, but it's kind of important. And then it creates Venom. They name it Venom because that is what the Prophet called the Clintar that were trying to help everyone on the alien planet. He was like, oh, this is a venom. It's slowly sucking the life out of you. Blah, blah, blah. So that is how Venom came to be. Now down the road, Venom becomes this, you know, this whole this lethal protector, right? His whole idea is he's helping everyone that he's attached to. So what they do is the Clintar, now they've amassed this army. You know, they took over a lot of the majority of people on this planet. They amass this army and they go find Null. So this is this giant blob of symbiote life attacking Null. They overpower him and they cage him, like literally, like he's at the center of all of this massive symbiotes. And over time, because they're attached to him for so long, they start to take this planet shape, and life starts to grow on them, and the structure that they have caged him in starts to look more like a planet structure than just a prison. And so that alien planet takes on the name Clintar. So even though Venom is from the planet Clintar, Clintar is the alien race that he is, and it is attached, you know, it's all one thing. It's a living planet, kind of like Ego. So like I said, this is a rabbit hole thing. I just had to basically give you the origin of the symbiotes, where they came from. The idea is that with Venom in this movie, acknowledging the fact that there is a hive mind and the existence of Null, one of the more recent comic series that has come out with Marvel is Null's appearance, the Black King. I don't know if you've heard of it, but he comes to Earth. He escapes from Clintar. He escapes from that symbiote prison. And he attacks Earth because he knows that Venom is living on Earth. And he knows Venom is kind of like the most powerful symbiote. So he attacks Earth, and Venom, along with the Avengers and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, have to battle off Null from this invasion of Earth. He brings that, like I was saying, that symbiote dragon that I told you was created kind of early on. He brings that with him, kind of like as his herald. And they attack Earth, and he starts, you know, Wolverine becomes a symbiote. Like he starts using, it's like a battle of the symbiotes versus everybody on Earth. And that is where I think, you know, we see Kang and this whole idea of the multiverse. I see Kang as this phase is Loki. He's that first little taste of that multiverse idea, and he might be a villain in he might be the main villain in like the Loki series, or an offshoot. He might get a movie or two appearance where it seems like he is the villain. Overall, I think Null is the next Thanos. Only because I would have just kind of written it off if it was just Venom. But the fact that we have the Eternals coming out in November, the Eternals were literally created by the Celestials, and the Celestials are featured in the Eternals movie, right? All of that is way too close together and way too tight knit. You have to have one. You can't have one without the other type thing. I think that even though Marvel, like Disney and Sony, are having this battle over these Spider-Man movies, the direction they're going is in the same direction. And at some point they're going to be like, ha, we fooled you guys. We've been working together all along. Here's Null. You're all dead type thing, you know? Which whenever I put it together, it was like something clicked. Like, I was sitting here looking, I was like, okay, you know, we got the Eternals coming out, and we got Venom talking about his hive mind thing. So I was like, you know, let me look up the hive mind situation. Like, let me see what that even means. And I looked it up, and I looked up who Null is, where he came from, the fact that he is basically a Celestial himself, and how they're all connected. And I remember I was telling you about the dark sword that he created to use to slice off the Celestial's head. Okay, so that dark sword Okay, so even though it was a part of the symbiote created it, it detached itself. It became an item. So the symbiotes created it, but it was not like them in form. It was just something that they created. Kind of like how they created Venom and they created that dragon, just kind of out of nothing, and it became its own thing. That dark sword that he created, once he was done, once he cast off the original 4 Clintar, he cast off that dark sword. Well, that dark sword ended up landing in the hands of this god in Asgard called Gore. He's called Gore the God Butcher, and he actually is one of Thor's villains before Thor makes his appearance on Earth and helps with the Avengers. Whenever he lives his life in Asgard, he is one of Thor's villains. He actually is like he almost brought Ragnarok upon itself before Surtur came, and did his whole thing. So all of it's super connected, super deep, and you have to like actually research and like take time to understand where it's coming from, but it's obscure. And if you don't really know anything and you're just a Marvel movie, junkie or whatever, you're going to get hit in the side of the face when they announce this dude named Null that you've never heard of, and you go and look him up and he's been there all along. You know what I mean? But it was just amazing to me whenever I looked at all this and it all pieced together and it all made sense, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. And Null is a very, very dark and evil looking character if you look him up. And it would make sense for if he does make an appearance or if he is mentioned, that it would be in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness, because Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness has been noted as Marvel's first attempt at like a thriller horror style superhero movie. So that in itself is where I believe Marvel is headed. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Dude, I think all we needed was a fire, because that was like a fireside story. I loved every minute of that.
Dude.
I think you highlight why I love comic book movies, because they have such a huge source material to pull from, and it's so much fun to try to see the writing on the wall and like see where they're heading for both Marvel and DC. Like, it's fun to see like, ooh, what are they gonna do? Like, how are they gonna do this character, or how are they gonna adapt this run or event? And I think that is some next level PhD fan theorying right there. I don't think anyone else on the whole internet has like discovered that or pieced that. Like, I knew nothing of symbiote history or Null or anything like that. I mean, it sounds great. Like, I'm on board with this. That's the thing. Let me ask you this: how recent? You mentioned that Null has kind of like made a comeback in the comics. How recent is that? Like, is this comeback?
So Null is a newer character in the comics. He wasn't like an old character.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
He was created, but the timeline that they put him on was like before everybody. So like, he's just a new villain they created. They're like, oh, he's been here all along, but here we are. He's finally coming to Earth.
What I meant, let me ask you this way: like, in real life, like, when was he created? Like, did he come out in the past 5 years, or?
That's what I mean. Yeah, I think within the last 3, I think actually he's one.
So he's really new.
He's one of the more newer series.
He's really young for a comic book character.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, like I said, when Marvel's at the drawing board thinking of what villain they could come up with next, why not use somebody that's brand new that you can't just predict off of 30 years or 40 years of comic books? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's what popped in my head. I was like, if Null is this like character who's been around since like the 1980s, or kind of like how Thanos is.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, like, look at all this source material we can use. But if he's really that'd be like DC using the Batman Who Laughs as like their main villain. It'd be like, whoa, like already? So but I'm down though. And I think that I'll believe it when I see it, because I still think so many people are falling for the Kool-Aid of Kang being the next big bad.
Right.
Like, everyone's, and like right away I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, he's gonna be a villain for sure. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with, but I don't think they're just gonna retread the entire structure of the Infinity Saga.
Sure.
And just be like, here's your big bad, let's build up to him. Like, no, they're gonna do something different.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and like I said, he was introduced so fast and in such a small way. He was introduced in a TV series, you know. So even though they say, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was introduced in Loki. So like, even though all those shows have an effect on the movies that come out and they're high quality shows, they're not multi-million dollar shows. You know what I mean? They've got a smaller budget than what Marvel throws at their big blockbusters. And just for a villain, especially the main villain, he's going to have more attention paid to him than that. Right. So that's why I just think that he's more of a transition. He introduces that multiverse idea, but then you have the real multiverse villains that come in that actually cause huge issues for the cinematic universe. I know Kang is formidable and he's a big problem in the comic books, but they don't always use, you know, these villains to their full potential. So, but yeah, also
I'm down.
Just kind of like after watching Venom in itself was a short, simple movie that was fun to watch, but the things that it started and introduced are huge in comparison to the rest of these movies. It actually used and acknowledged the fact that somebody is a mutant. Talking about the Carnage, Cletus Cassidy's girlfriend, she was. They say that her powers mutated, right? They don't ever use the word mutant in Marvel unless they mean mutant. They stay away from that word specifically not to get people excited, right? So that's one thing that Venom did, was it introduced the idea of a mutant into Marvel, right? Okay. It did the whole Clintar Nexus hive mind thing with Null. It did that. It put Venom in the MCU. It did that. Also, at the end of that movie, when I don't know if you've watched it yet.
I haven't seen it, but I know how it ends.
All right, so at the end of that movie, when Carnage and Venom are fighting, I don't know if Carnage hits Venom or Venom hits Carnage, but it knocks a piece off of one of them. That piece that it knocks off of one of them lands on this side character in the movie. He's a cop. He's like in the last battle with everybody, and he gets injured. He gets like thrown off of this scaffolding and like impaled, and you can hear his like back break almost, like on the scaffolding on the side of this church. And a piece of that lands on him. A piece of that symbiote lands on him. Now, and like you don't really realize what happened because it's so quick. But then towards the end of that fight, actually at the end of the movie, it's like a little cutscene of him laying on that stuff. And his eyes have like the symbiote look to him, and he just like whispers. He's like, monsters. But what it is it's referencing to a symbiote called Toxin. Toxin is the product of Carnage and Venom, and he is the 1000th symbiote in that line, in that lineage. In the Clintar race, the 1000th symbiote is the most powerful. So this creation, Toxin, the symbiote Toxin, is his own villain in the Venom comic books. He's the most powerful symbiote of them all, like of the Clintar race. He is the most powerful. So it's just like it introduced a whole other big thing, like movie.
We haven't even gotten to like Morbius or Blade or any of that stuff. Like there's so much. All the stuff we're talking about, all this like dark, Midnight Suns type. Yeah. I mean, there's so much Marvel can do. Yeah. And it sounds like Venom planted a lot of seeds. Eternals has the capacity to plant a lot of seeds too.
Right. And that's why I am not so because before I wasn't that excited for Eternals, just like I wasn't excited for Shang-Chi. I'm like, it's just a one-offs. Like these people aren't like crazy important. Why are they making these movies? But it all makes sense now. And I'm interested to see the whole celestial part of Eternals, because they could mention, like, even if it's just a mention of like one of the Celestials being killed, like it doesn't have to say Null or show Null. We'll know how he died. Right. Exactly. We'll know
what it is. Yeah.
Right. So it's something that I'm excited for, that it might be a small thing. Maybe I'm wrong, dude. Maybe they just threw that in there for fan service or something, but I don't see that being the case. They have to go somewhere with it. So
yeah. Do you think they go with I see it going. I do agree with you about Kang. I don't think Kang is the
Right.
Thanos,
Yeah.
but I mean, they really are gonna do Fantastic Four though. So do you
Yeah.
think they
Yep.
blow the load on Galactus being it, or what do you think?
A Galactus.
I see it the Galactus, or or now. I mean, I believe your Gospel of Null. I mean, Null seems like a good plan too. Or do you think they just do something completely different? Um,
I think with the way they're going, it has to be a multiversal enemy, and
yeah.
Galactus is
Is
Galactus.
is he a multiversal enemy?
I don't think there are other iterations of Galactus because he's celestial. I'm pretty sure
Is there
he is.
only one Galactus?
Yeah, I've never heard or seen of any like with the Celestials. They're not like multiversal Celestials. They are one Celestial
Yeah,
overseeing all the things, just like the Watcher. There's not multiple variants of the Watcher because they are
there's just one
outside.
Watcher.
Right. Well, no, there's multiple Watchers. There's like a team of Watchers. Owatu is
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
Watcher that watches over our what we see, the Marvel stuff. Um,
hmm
but yeah, I mean, there's a team of Watchers. They exist outside of the universes. So I think that's what the Celestials are. They exist outside of all that. So Galactus is the same thing. Now Galactus is a huge villain, and he could very well be the big bad. He's that level of villain. I just think
He
that
is.
I think that he might catch some mention in the Eternals, just because he is a Celestial. But I don't see him being as threatening as like okay, you're the main villain here in the next phase, because they want to do the multiverse stuff. So I think there're going to be a lot of fan service, a lot of smaller villains in these movies leading up to the eventual like reveal of Null. Even if it's a reveal in the next Venom movie, like
Yeah.
I still think that he is the route that they're going to go, whether it be Sony or Disney. He's going to be the route.
My my mind says my mind is like, yeah, like it most likely might be Galactus, but my heart, dude, who I think should be the next big bad of this saga or whatever, Doctor Doom. Come
He
on, man.
he's also, I
He
mean, God King Doom. I mean, he did the whole,
dude is
you
no
know what I mean?
joke. And, like, yeah, he is the enemy of. Cause see, look, here's what I like. I think that make him evil. Like just make him straight up evil,
Yeah.
and then have a Fantastic Four movie, whatever. Have some big team up movie end with Silver Surfer showing up. He doesn't even say a word. It just shows him. You already
Yep.
know who's
Yep.
coming if
Yep.
Silver Surfer. And then it's like Reed Richards goes to Doom in prison. He's like, dude, we got to work together. And like
Yep.
they all team up to fight Galactus. I just like it. They haven't really done a hero villain team up yet, and
Right.
I think audiences would really respond to that really well. And I think Galactus is your guy to have that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
big cosmic enemy for everyone to team up against.
No, I agree. Like I
Uh,
said, he's not a small villain. He is definitely a Thanos
yeah,
level villain. I feel like Marvel is trying to break into this darker,
yeah.
more mature tone.
And if they do that, then they should do Null
Right.
or Mephisto.
Yeah, Mephisto.
Mephisto could be a good one.
Even though
He
he's
could be a
basically
good one
even though
too.
he's a meme now at this point, just because of the amount of times people have been like, "It's Mephisto. It's got to be Mephisto."
They have no
Yeah.
idea what they're talking about. They only do that because of that crappy Spider-Man comic where
Yeah. One more
Spider-Man
day.
like it's a soul or yeah, like
Yeah.
they only do it because of that. Because
Yeah.
like, oh, Mephisto's a trickster, and to see what she is, but like he is so much more than that. And I think
Right.
Mephisto could really be a good villain if like you said, if they go into the more darker magic-based type stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
so yeah,
I think there's
exciting time.
I am happy that they are releasing these movies just because I want to see if my theory is right now. Like if anything, even if the movie isn't great, I want to be vindicated. You know what I mean? Like prove me right.
Well, I'm rooting for you. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm down for anything, but
Yeah.
you sold me on the Null theory. Null reminds me of I guess his DC counterpart would be because he said he's like Lord of Death and the Void,
Yeah, the void,
and like,
basically, darkness.
kind of yeah. He kind of reminds me of Necron, who is the leader of the Black Lanterns.
Yeah,
Kind of like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
embodiment of death and nothingness,
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
like that. But
Yep.
Noel sounds more. Necron is kind of just a Green Lantern. He's in the little Green Lantern slice of life, but
Right.
Noel sounds more Marvel,
Right.
like a foundational Marvel.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I'm
Yep.
down, dude.
Yep. Okay.
Noel.
That was Marvel. That was Marvel. And by the way, like go and look. Go and like once we're done, go look up Null and look up like just the highlights of what he has done in the it's crazy. Like just seeing.
Do you think in Thor? Do you think the Thor movie with Gore? Do you think
Maybe
they'll do some illusions there?
because now here's why I don't think so, because Love and Thunder is very much, it's Taika Waititi, so it's going to be a lighthearted funny movie. Gore is a very serious character. I mean, he literally kills gods. So like, and he looks pretty evil too. He looks pretty evil. So it's just one, I don't know. I don't think that they'll talk about him in Thor.
I like Taika Waititi. I do. He's a good dude. He's a cool guy, but I really hope this one is a little more serious than Ragnarok.
Sure,
Ragnarok was fun, but I did want it to be more somber and a little more epic, you know. Instead, we just got like 80s sci-fi neon signs and everything. I'm just like, man, what is this? But I hope so. Hopefully, Love and Thunder. But with a name like that, you can already imagine that it's just gonna be zany over the top.
Yeah. It introduces Jane Foster as Thor too, so like obviously Chris Hemsworth.
There's a lot. The Guardians are in it. Guardians of the Galaxy are in it too. So
right, obviously like releases.
There's a lot going on in that one.
Yeah, I think Love and Thunder is going to be Hemsworth's last Thor movie. I think he passes that mantle off to Jane Foster, and either he goes and just like does his own thing, or
he dies by Gore,
or
he
kills
him.
You know, maybe it's just so specific. I just don't see it. Am I frozen right now? Is my screen frozen?
I was just about to say, I think you're frozen. Just restart your camera. That should fix it.
That doesn't make any sense. Why am I frozen? Okay, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's a great still image of you, though.
Why am
There
I?
you go.
Why
All
am I
good.
purple? Oh my god.
Now you're purple. That's alright. Cool vibe. It fits your space light. Now you're orange.
Dude, no. Hold on. Wait. I gotta fix this. Dude. It's gonna kill me. That's better. Okay, I'll take that.
It's better.
Okay. All right. You know what? That's good. I can edit that out. That's great because this is a good transition into DC Fandome. Okay. So
we can keep talking about Marvel. We don't have to talk about Fandom. Let's talk about as the DC guy. Let's talk about Marvel.
Right. No, there were some good things. There were some good things come out of this, even though there weren't a lot of new things.
Good things. 3 keywords there. Some and good and things. Yeah. Not many great things. Right. Some good.
Right. Yeah. It's okay. So like.
Let's start with Black Adam, which was a good thing. I did like the Black Adam stuff.
Yeah, they started. I mean, that's how they started DC Fandome off. Was like the little teaser for Black Adam.
Yeah, it was cool.
Obviously, The Rock is great at every movie he does, so it's going to be a good movie. And it looks pretty cool. It kind of just looks like it kind of just looks like Shazam, but without Shazam. Like obviously he's serious. Like he's a serious villain. Also, okay, so this is a question I have because I noticed that. So they've announced Black Adam. They also announced the next Shazam movie. So like,
are they going to cross over
at the same time? Like, obviously, one's going to cross over.
No,
to the other.
Black Adam is set during the 40s, I believe, because that's why it showed Pierce Brosnan and all those other guys because that's the Justice Society of America.
Yeah.
Dr. Fate. So the JSA existed before the JLA. So and they were like the 30s, 40s Justice team. So and that's when I believe that's when this movie takes place. I think I could be wrong. I have to go back and look at that. But it's set in the past.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Black Adam.
So Black Adam was announced. I assume what they're gonna do is Black Adam's gonna come out first, and he's gonna at the end of the movie he's gonna go into hibernation or whatever. And then
we'll find out.
And then come the next Shazam movie or in credit scene, like either he shows up or I don't think he's gonna be the main villain of the next Shazam movie. I mean, I think it's more of like
I think I know what they're doing.
I think what they're doing is they set him up. They have a villain in the Shazam movie. He's the post-credit villain. That would make
Did
sense.
you watch the original Shazam,
Yeah.
the first one?
Yeah.
Post credits with Savannah, and he talks to that caterpillar.
Yeah.
So that caterpillar is like no joke. Like that is a very evil, powerful little caterpillar. And I think that him and Savannah, who played Mark Strong, him and Savannah are obviously they're going to team up, and maybe Black Adam and the Shazamily will have to team up.
The Shazamily.
Maybe that's what the Shazamily. But no, it was a great little teaser. I'm excited for the actual trailer because him just deep frying that guy, in full detail is like that's what they needed to show. Like you got to establish this. Like Black Adam's not a good guy.
Yeah. He's 100% a villain, right?
Yeah.
But
I know we mentioned Doctor Doom. He is very similar to Doctor Doom. Doom what's the name of his nation? Doctor Doom loves his nation.
Latveria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam loves his nation.
Right. I forget what that's called, dude. I forget what that place is called.
Kondak.
Yeah.
And he will do evil things to protect his nation. So that's what makes him such a good character. He's a lot like Doctor Doom in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was solid. I liked it.
Yeah, it looks fun. Yeah, I say it looks fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
So you got Black Adam. We touched on Shazam. I mean,
yeah, Dr. Fate being in that is awesome. I love Dr. Fate.
Right.
What a great actor to play him too.
Yeah.
So cool.
They did announce a couple of things kid related. So like the Super Pets, the DC Super Pets with Crypto
I didn't see it.
and Ace. Well, The Rock plays Crypto, Superman's dog.
Oh Lord,
yeah,
that sounds crazy.
Yeah, so like
actually sounds like a good idea.
They got that man on payroll right now, dude. He's doing everything for them. So, but yeah, so that it looks fun. I have kids, so I'm gonna take my kids to that. Then they have like a new Batman animated series coming out. It's called The Cape Crusader or something like that.
Yeah. And Bruce Timm.
Right. And he's like wearing the original, like the Batman #1 or whatever, Mystery Comics #1 costume with the purple gloves and stuff like that. So it's gonna be like an old school style. So that looks good. What else? Obviously the Batman. That trailer, I feel like, just took the scenes we saw in the first trailer and just expanded them out about 10 seconds per scene. And like was like, okay, like they arrested the Riddler at the beginning with his little cafe con leche question mark. And like then the whole chase with the Penguin where like it was Batman walking out of the flames and stuff. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
There was nothing new. Nothing that I saw that was like, oh wow, okay, this person or like there was just, I don't know. I feel like
it's cool to see Alfred.
Right. I feel like the first trailer was so much hype that you can't beat it. And so we expected this trailer to beat it and it just wasn't, it didn't do it. I think what they should have done. That was
probably intentional though.
Right. I think what they should have done is excluded the Riddler from the first trailer. And then in the second trailer, like maybe the last scene of the first trailer be the little cafe con leche question mark and not have him being arrested or anything. Just that coffee. You know what I mean?
Just showing it.
Right. And then everybody be like, oh my God, the Riddler. And then the second one being the whole duct tape over the dude's face and the black hole sun playing. And like, you know what I mean? Like that should have been, I feel like trailer 2.
Yeah.
Considering the movie comes out in spring of next year or summer of next year, something like that. So like,
coming up.
Yeah.
That'll be here before we know it. Yeah.
So like, I would think that they want to build hype closer than build hype a year ago. And you know what I mean? Just kind of try to coast off of that until the movie's released. But it looks good. Obviously, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to love it no matter what. But the build up and the way that they're kind of trying to produce these things is just a little off. So
it is.
Did I miss anything? Obviously, the Batman. Obviously, Black Adam, Shazam. What else? Did I miss something? As far as movies,
they showed stuff for Aquaman, but nothing worth really talking about.
Yeah, it was just like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, it just looks like a bigger, badder version of the first one, which I'm on board with.
Right. Again, Jason Momoa.
I will say this: it does look like they're going to give Black Manta some more love because he was definitely one of my favorite parts of that movie.
Yep.
But he kind of had to play second fiddle to Ocean Master,
Yeah.
who was the main villain.
Yeah.
So it looks like Black Manta will be more of a presence, which he is such a great character. I love Black Manta, so I'm pumped about that. But
when I think of
yeah.
Aquaman, I think of as far as villains, I think of Black Manta. Like that's the only person. If you ask me to name an Aquaman villain, that's the only person I could name for you. To be honest with you,
He only has like 4 that people really know.
right. But he's just that guy.
This for sure. I mean, it's just that iconic helmet and
Mm-hmm.
classic story of vengeance. Man, like James Wan could really get dark and follow the source material to where. I mean, Aquaman and Black Manta, they got it out for each other because Aquaman inadvertently kills his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Manta later on kills him and Mara's like baby, like infant baby, and then proceeds to chop off Aquaman's arm. Aquaman turns around, and it's just like they have a really bloody history.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't think James Wan will get that dark though.
No,
it looks like they're keeping it nice and light, which is okay.
Right. Okay. So movies, nothing really new. We knew the Aquaman was coming out. It's not like they announced anything that we had no idea was coming. So
they showed the Flash stuff.
Oh yeah. I don't know how. Okay, so the Flash. What did Ezra Miller say at the beginning of that? He was like, oh, so we don't really have a trailer to show you, but I put something together, and it was like a miniature.
That was pretty much a teaser.
Yeah, like a little teaser. So obviously I saw multiple variations of him all in one room.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the new suit him, some him that had like longer hair, and then a third him I didn't pay attention to, but they were talking to Michael Keaton's Batman.
It was actually a version of Supergirl, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was a part of. It was like a Supergirl from some random multiverse. Yeah. So again, they're playing into the multiverse thing.
Yeah. Which is smart. They need to just wait to hear what Marvel's doing and then just do DC's version of that. Just because there's no way they're gonna have success unless they follow that blueprint that Marvel's put together. But
I don't have success if they would have just made a plan and
you stuck with it.
Take their time. But
right.
We've talked about this ad nauseum.
Yeah. But yeah, so I
like that both camps are doing multiverses though, because I love multiverse stuff. And
yeah.
Hey, if they're both doing it, fine by me.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I'm reading that book right now.
Oh yeah. See, I honestly might read the Black King, the Null series, just because I watched like some videos on it and like looked into it. Yeah, just in case. Right. Just so if there is like some little minuscule little mention or picture, I'll be able to pick it up and be like, oh, I see, I know. So
yeah.
Okay, so video games. They showed a lot more of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. We got
Flash Lantern. I think it showed
Wonder Woman.
They were in the Batcave at one point or something like that.
So those 5 leaguers are confirmed.
Yeah. But okay,
let me tell you something.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go first.
Okay,
you're more energetic. What do you got?
I'm more energetic. So at the beginning of that trailer for the new Suicide Squad, it was the same exact intro as Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. They flew into Arkham because it's set in the same universe. So they flew into Arkham with the whole rain. It was like, hitchhikers may be escape patients, and like they were being like interrogated or whatever by Amanda Waller in that one room in Arkham Asylum where it's got the electric floors where you have to jump from floor to floor. They're being interrogated on the main section of that floor. So it's the same asylum. So I don't know when this takes place, if it's before the events of Arkham Asylum and like all of that, because if Batman's in it, he can't be dead like he was at the end of Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
So I feel like it has to be before.
I think it's pre-Arkham Asylum, post Origins, obviously.
Yeah. But yeah, it has to be.
So pretty early. Well, hold on now. This is post Joker Harley though.
Oh yeah, Joker's dead in this. I don't know, dude. It's so confusing. Batman probably won't be in it.
Because it's like independent Harley, where she's not with Joker, so.
Right, Batman won't be in it then. It might. Maybe they just take place in.
Maybe it's post Arkham City. It's post Arkham City. Maybe.
Yeah. Because Arkham City takes place. Arkham City takes place like 8 months or 9 months after, or not Arkham City. Arkham
Asylum.
Knight. Sorry, Arkham Knight takes place 8 or
Oh,
9
yeah.
months after Arkham City. Arkham City takes place like 6 months after Arkham Asylum or something like that. So maybe
Yeah.
in that period of time, Brainiac is attacked, because I think they're in Metropolis for the majority of the game. I don't think they're in.
Metropolis, Brainiac,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think they just take that trip to Arkham to like get their bearings straight with Amanda Waller, and then they go to Metropolis, and that's where the game takes place, because that would make more sense. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so it could be. It could be.
What the heck is Captain Boomerang being sent to Arkham Asylum for? He's like
Well,
he's
they
a
were
Flash
all.
villain. Why isn't he being sent to
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's like, why would he go to Arkham?
I don't think it was like
Whatever.
he's there. I think they were taken there as like a little introduction, like, okay, here's your briefing. We're gonna strap you down to these chairs and threaten to kill you all in Arkham Asylum, just to kind of set the tone.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
part of some plan.
Yeah, I don't think like he was there.
Iron
But
Heights. That's the name of Flash's prison is Iron Heights. That's like where all the Flash villains go.
Iron Heights, okay.
That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was cool. I mean, I loved seeing John Stewart Lantern. I just can't help but wonder, like, Flash was in it a lot. So do you think it's going to progress where, like, we got to fight Flash now? All right, we beat him. We snapped him out of Brainiac's mind control. Now he's on our side. Like, how do you think that's all going to work out? Do you think they're all going to be hypnotized, or
So
because
I
like
don't.
Wonder Woman was fighting Superman, like it showed him fighting Wonder Woman there
Yeah.
for a little bit
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So
So
I don't think, I think they're gonna be like the boss, like level bosses, but I don't think it's gonna be like a team up to help type thing. I think they'll be out of commission. I think whatever it is they put them down and out and like contain them or something. Like Amanda Waller has them contained to make sure they're not still controlled by Brainiac or something like that. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's probably a good point. Yeah.
So I think that's the situation. It's like bag 'em and tag 'em type thing. With Superman obviously being the last one because he's OP. How do you fight Brainiac controlled Superman without Batman? So, but yeah,
Idris Elba did it with a kryptonite bullet. Apparently,
put him in the ICU. Right. God, dude. But yeah. So okay. So Suicide Squad, Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like I didn't
really
feel like,
showed off the Court of Owls stuff.
Yeah,
They really
yeah.
leaned into that.
It was much more of a story. Like, okay, let's set the tone a little bit better. So it looks a little bit better than it did last year. I think they made it a little prettier for this conference, just so people were a little more excited for it.
I just think they should have really, especially with Suicide Squad, they really should have shown some gameplay though.
Yeah. Well,
that was a
they didn't
ball drop moment. They
show,
really should have shown it.
Yeah, they didn't show gameplay, but a lot of what I saw was gameplay engine stuff. Like it was actual, in-engine material. So I don't know what the combat's going to look like. I got a feeling they're going to, like a month or two before the game comes out, they're going to show a little combat trailer or something like that. But obviously it's going to be squad based. I don't think it'll be multiplayer, I think. Kind of like how Avengers was, Marvel's Avengers.
I was just about to say, I think they saw that game come out and was like, let's change some stuff.
Yeah.
That game didn't have the warmest reception, and I think that maybe that's why they're not showing off gameplay quite just yet.
Right. And also,
which is fine.
The idea for Marvel's Avengers was an awesome idea. It was just executed poorly. So I really hope that because it's Rocksteady that's making Suicide Squad, right? It's Rocksteady. So I really hope that Rocksteady takes their spin and goes, okay, here's what didn't work from this game. Let's just take that shell, put it in our game, make it great. That's all I want. I don't want to like go and XP farm with 4 different people to try to level up my characters. I just want to play through this story with a friend or two as these characters, and you know what I mean? Like, that's all I really want to do. I don't care,
Exactly.
Don't give me multiplayer. Don't give me PvP. I don't want that.
It won't be PvP, but I am concerned about because that was one of the problems with the Avengers games, is that it just got really artificially grindy.
Yeah.
And like, I don't mind a little bit of a grind in a game, but when you make it so strenuous and lengthy to do, that's when it just kills a game.
Yep.
And it's a bummer because there's a lot of cool stuff in that Marvel's Avengers game, and a lot of cool characters to play as, but I don't know, if your gameplay loop isn't good, your game's not going to be good. And I think Rocksteady saw that with Avengers and was like, we gotta go back to the whiteboard on some stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
I've noticed this just because there was no real new announcements this year for video games. I noticed that DC is sticking heavily to the co-op or team-oriented games. Both games that they've announced are four-player or four-character games that are semi-open world or what have you, just based around Batman or the Justice League. Like, there's no single character games or story games that like focus on anybody.
that we know of. I bet you they're cooking up that, but
But
as of right now, they're just wanting to pimp out these two games.
I mean, here's what I'm worried about. They announced these games for Fandome, right? So I'm worried that these game studios, because they announced this at Fandome, are gonna forego being at E3 or forego being at any like the Game Awards or whatever the big where they announce a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna save themselves time and like any scrutiny by just not being there and waiting until next year's Fandome to be like, okay, it comes out in a month. Here's the rest of the content you haven't seen all year. So I don't know. I mean, E3 is a big one, but like you've seen, like people are just saying,
People
hey,
people aren't going to E3 anymore. Sony,
that's what I mean.
like Sony alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nintendo kind of does their own thing
Nintendo
now.
Direct. Yeah. Like they're all just kind of doing their own announcements. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
don't know, man. It's real iffy how everything's restructuring as far as like
it is.
for the fan, like us being able to get excited for like this one weekend long event where all these games are announced and all like every these trailers and all
Yeah.
this, like it's kind of becoming like a very corporate, like, oh, we'll do it when we want to, you know what I mean? How we want to, and it's just whatever. But
Yeah. I was talking with a buddy of mine about that, just in general, how like games and movies, I mean, particularly games, talking about games right now, just how like corporate it's all become. And
yeah.
it's like these, most games are made with like a deadline in mind or with
Mhm.
some like quota being met.
Mhm.
And it's rare to just get a game to come out and just be like, wow, this feels like a nice handcrafted game. Like, so like God of War, for example, it like feels like that. It's like, wow,
Yep.
like people came together, united in one vision to make this one thing, and
Yep.
it's good.
Yep.
But then you got your Marvel's Avengers,
Yeah.
where like clearly that was made with some kind of with numbers only in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's Avengers, and these Square Enix guys
Yeah.
are video game makers. Let's just put two and two together, and it doesn't really work. So
Yeah.
it's harrowing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I was hoping Fandom was going to be a lot more than it actually was.
Yeah.
At
I was really
most-
hoping for new stuff.
At most, like with the stuff they've already shown, I was just hoping that they would kind of knock that out at the beginning. Like, hey, okay, here's what we showed last year. Here's a
Yeah.
little bit more on that, and here's some gameplay on that. All right, next to the new stuff.
Because that's what it bummed me out about it. It was like the same structure as last year.
Yep.
And just there's quite literally nothing new brought to the table. And
Yep.
and it's just like, as a DC fan, it's like, what am I supposed to be excited for?
Right. Right.
I'm more excited for my volume 2 of John Ostrander's Suicide Squad over there I got from Amazon than I am anything they announced at Fandom.
Right. Well, you know,
Like,
like with Disney's whole D23 Expo, where they announce, you know, the movies and shows, the next phases they're going through with Marvel and Star Wars. Like, even though that is their version of DC Fandom, they do it way better. Like, everything they announce at those, if they have already talked about it last year, what you're going to see this year is like footage or some material stuff, or they're just not going to talk about it at all and only talk about the brand new stuff they haven't talked about yet. They haven't. I don't get, like, how does Warner Brothers and DC and as a company, how do you look at what Disney is doing with Marvel and Star Wars and not in any way try to mimic that? People are going to be completely fine with you mimicking that as long as it means that you are bringing cool stuff and being successful in what you're trying to do.
because Warner Brothers are brain deficient and they don't know what to do.
I guess.
It's Warner Brothers, man. They have some of the best toys around in DC,
Yeah,
and
dude.
they just don't. And they're like, because they own all of it.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
they're not sharing like Marvel is with Sony.
Right.
Like
Right.
they have
Right.
all their toys. They just they don't know what to do.
Yeah, dude. It's
And that's been the story since Batman v Superman, pretty much. It's just like
Yeah.
they don't have a plan. They tried to rush to get to where Marvel is, and no one would have complained. People would have obviously made the comparison, like,
Right.
oh, they're like making origin stories first, like Marvel did, but that's not a bad thing. Like people would have been on board, and they just jumped the shark, and they've been paying for it ever since. So,
Oh man. Well, you know what,
I don't
dude?
know.
I
Still love it
remain
all though.
I remain blindly optimistic for the future because what they have announced is all good stuff. It's just not out yet, and when it does come out, you know, we'll be holding
We'll
hands
see.
and singing "Kumbaya."
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna watch like all the movies. I'm there. Sign me up. Like games, I'm there. Sign me up.
Yep.
But
Yep.
throw us some more bones for goodness sake.
Yeah. Like Disney, dude.
Come on.
I keep talking about Marvel and Disney, but like look at what they've done with Disney Plus. So they have taken in the off times in between movies that come out once every 3 months with Marvel because they pump out content like crazy. In that dead time, they've got a brand new series that directly affects these movies. So you have something to watch every week, whether it's a show or a movie, up until the big stuff comes out. And even still then, like for instance, right now, we just got finished with the What If series, which I feel like may have implications to the MCU, even though they talked about it wasn't going to.
Yeah. I finished that yesterday, by the way. It was really good.
Crazy, right? Like just with the whole.
That was a cool ending. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's done. That was done last week. I think finished last week.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks we get the Eternals movie, and then 2 weeks after that we get the new Hawkeye series, and that Hawkeye series is going to get us through until Spider-Man, and then it'll wrap up about January-ish. And then I think the end of February or the very beginning of March is when the Multiverse of Madness comes out. So like they're knocking boom, boom, boom. Like they're constantly doing something and constantly releasing something where DC literally just copy pasted their content from last year and put it this year. There's been nothing new come out. Like they have some shows out. None of them are connected. They're all just their own thing. Even though some of them are good, some quality content, it's just people enjoy that interconnected universe.
You don't want to watch Peacemaker with John Cena?
Dude. Like.
I will probably live the rest of my life and never have a desire to watch that.
Give Margot Robbie a Harley Quinn show. She's not doing anything else.
That would be way more profitable because that's all they care about.
Yeah.
It's just money.
She has been Harley Quinn.
They're too afraid to use their crap.
And Harley Quinn alone since Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad 1 came out. She was a hit as Harley Quinn. Then she was Harley Quinn again in The Emancipation of Harley Quinn. Then she was Harley Quinn again in the second Suicide Squad. And Harley Quinn is like this character that they've been using everywhere. She's got her own cartoon show. She's the main character of the Suicide Squad video game that's coming out. She was a big character in all the Arkham games. She is huge. Give Margot
the fourth
Robbie
pillar of DC.
Give Margot Robbie her own Harley Quinn show, please, dude. But no, they won't.
No, we're gonna do John Cena Peacemaker because it's John Cena.
We're gonna do the third season of Doom Patrol, even though nobody's seen the first or second season.
Everyone loves John Cena, and yeah, it's just I don't know, dude. DC needs to like secede from the union. Get away from Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Disney should buy DC, which they shouldn't.
There's no way, dude.
But they like someone else needs to get DC and
I don't think that the SEC would allow Disney to purchase DC because they would have a monopoly on the comic book industry. So there would be, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just not something that that corporate world will allow to happen. Just like they wouldn't let Microsoft they wouldn't let Microsoft purchase Sony. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Who's another studio? Paramount? Would Paramount be able to do it? Can they go to Paramount?
Paramount's not. You talking about like Universal? Universal would be the next one to do it.
Universal.
Universal would be the next one to do it. But I just don't. I don't know.
DC, go to Universal. Get away from Warner Brothers.
Hey,
but they've been with Warner Brothers for decades upon decades now. And I don't know, dude.
You laugh, bro, but like, so you know how Disney is starting to build like the Marvel rides in the Disney locations. Like they've got the Avengers campus. Yeah. They got the Avengers campus in Los Angeles. They've got the Guardians of the Galaxy ride coming to Epcot. And like they're doing all these things. But so like for instance, Disney World will never get an Avengers campus that has Spider-Man or Captain America or Wolverine or any of that, because Universal still has Islands of Adventure, which feature all of those characters. Universal and Islands of Adventures have the rights to the theme park versions of those characters. And you can't have those characters. You can't have anything like that. Like Disney can't put anything like that out within however many hundreds of miles of that theme park. So that's why it's only at LA, because there's no Universal Studios Islands of Adventure like superhero park in LA. There's Universal Studios, but it's completely separate from the one in Florida. So, because I was watching, or maybe I was reading, when we went to Disney in May, I was like looking, because it was like all this Marvel stuff was under construction. I was like, okay, what's coming? You know, like what am I going to get to do next year when I come or whatever? And it was explaining that because Islands of Adventure in Orlando owns the theme park rights to the Hulk, to all those characters, until they decide to sell, which would basically close down Universal Studios in Orlando.
No, it wouldn't, dude. They have so much stuff.
I understand.
Harry Potter alone is keeping them in business.
Sure, but I'm saying Marvel still makes them a shit ton of money right there. So they're not just gonna sell that willingly when they know that they have the right to it. You know, like it's kind of like with Sony. They're not gonna sell Spider-Man. That's a precious gem they're gonna hold on to forever. You know what I mean? Like it's just not gonna happen. So I don't know. It's one of those things we're gonna have to learn how to deal with until one day.
Universal. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
It's just one day. It's just one of those things we're gonna have to learn how to deal with until one day Disney becomes the big brother corporation. They purchase Apple. They purchase freaking Google, and they take over the world and own everything.
Yeah, that's when the Antichrist shows up, right? Is when Disney takes over.
Right. Right. What's her name? Kathleen Kennedy announces that she is the Antichrist.
Oh, dude, that's not true.
Robert
so
Feige.
Many people hate her.
Robert Feige or Kevin Feige, not Robert Feige.
Kevin Feige. Could be him. Everybody loves him, so it could be. He could be the Antichrist. Right. I was not to completely shift to like a theme park podcast, but Universal Orlando is gonna have their oh gosh, what's it called? Epic Universe, their third park, and in their third park will be Nintendo Land. And in Nintendo Land will be Mario, Zelda. I mean, it's Nintendo, so like,
Metroid.
I have watched the war between Walt Disney World and Universal over my life, and it is astounding to me how and I'm just speaking like Walt Disney World, like that entity, not so much Disney Corporation, but like Walt Disney World will bust out with something big and bad, and it's like, well, look what we just made, look what we just built, and like every single time Universal's like, all right, well. Here's Harry Potter, or here's your Jurassic World refurb, or here's your Nintendo. Like they just zing right back at Walt Disney World and just get so many people to go to their park. So it's incredible how those two parks have made each other better because of it. But I am excited for that third park though, because Nintendo World's going to be awesome. Dude. That's gonna make them more money than Harry Potter. Like
for sure.
Oh, let's take the kids and go see Mario. Like that, dude. It's gonna be gangbuster business.
Right. I mean, there's not like with Harry Potter. There's not generations of families that watch Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You've got people that played Mario back in the early '80s. Like you know what I mean. You got almost 3 generations of people now. Like in that section. So. Yeah,
they have it built in Universal Japan, obviously, and like, dude, the videos I've seen, it's just like it's so cool, and people are gonna flock to Universal in Orlando with hand over fist money. So Disney can build all their Marvels and Star Wars as they want to, but they gotta watch out, man, because Universal just out of nowhere will build something that the people really want,
Yeah.
like Nintendo Land.
What?
But,
Okay, let's think about that. Hold on a second, because you talk about like the next thing, because obviously Disney has made the whole Star Wars Black Spire Outpost section, and they won't be able to do the Avengers Campus in Florida, but they did one in California, so they still have it technically.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
and
really cool. I'm bummed they'll never build it here, because that
right,
Avengers Campus really is awesome.
right. And with
Yeah.
Universal, they have Harry Potter, they have Transformers. They kind of have to get rid of Dr. Seuss because he was canceled. So like that whole Seuss World section's gone. So like, you know what I mean? So like, who else do they have? Where could they go? That's like, okay, they have Nintendo, but the next time Disney comes out and goes, you know, oh, we're gonna make a Pirates of the Caribbean world area or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I ask myself that question every time they bust out with something, because it's like, oh, they got Jurassic Park now. Now what? Oh, Harry Potter. Oh man, okay.
Yeah.
Whoa, Nintendo Land. Like, it's just,
yeah,
who knows what it'll be next time.
they'll
But
probably have to purchase. They'll probably have to purchase something to be able to like include another section of their park.
And they'll make back that money tenfold if they keep playing the cards right, like they have with Harry Potter and everything. Because man, they've made a lot of money off of that one franchise, that's for sure. But I don't know. I love the war between Disney World and Universal. It's just,
you know, kids.
One gets back at the other, and it just gets better and better.
Kids today are so spoiled, man, with this stuff. Because when I remember being, I don't know, let me think. When did X-Men 1 come out? 99? So I was 3, okay? X-Men 1 came out. X-Men 1 came out, and I watched that. And, like, then you didn't have anything until Spider-Man 1, which is a couple years later. And then X-Men 2. Mm-hmm. It was really just X-Men and Spider-Man, which weren't connected, had nothing to do with each other. Their enemies died in each movie.
Blade, if you want to get technical, but the X-Men Spider-Man way bigger.
Blade back in the 90s, but like there was like some all these individual stuff, and you didn't get anything good with it. It wasn't like, you know, and the theme parks weren't all like, Disney didn't own Star Wars, Disney didn't own Marvel, like they were doing their own horrible idea thing. And now these kids can go to one place,
pure time,
get all three of those things all together, and they get to watch TV shows every week and great movies that are connected every year, every 3 months. Like, where was that when I was a kid, man? You know what I mean? Let me be 8 years old again in today's comic book section. Gosh.
Not me, man. You can do that, not me.
I'm just saying.
I would out from it all, dude. I'd be like, oh my gosh, where do I start? I wouldn't even go to school, dude.
Right.
I would fake sick. Just never go to school.
Gosh, man, it's
so much is at our fingertips.
Like even like video games, like as a kid.
Yeah.
What did we? I mean, there were things that came out, but none that were great. And most of the video games that came out were the movie video games, the movie adaptation video games. So like
that Spider-Man 2 video game was baller.
It was great for its time. It was great for its time, dude. And like
they did so much new stuff.
But then they made horrible ones. Like, did you ever play the Superman video game that came out with Superman Returns for the 360?
No, I never played that, but I did play the. There was a Hulk game for the 2003 Hulk movie.
The Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
I remember I don't know what it was. I just remember it being really difficult.
You know what?
I can't even beat this.
No. I know what you're talking about. So it was
the movie one.
Right, it was the original one. So I remember that. So it was like a condensed like mission level structure, and you ran around and you fought like these different colored Hulks. You fought like a blue Hulk, you fought a red Hulk, you fought like a yellow Hulk. It was like all these different like people got the gamma radiation or whatever. But I remember that. And then after the success of Spider-Man 2, they came out with Hulk Ultimate Destruction, which was an open world Hulk where you could break cars and turn them into like boxing gloves. And like, I remember that. And then they tried to redo that with the 2009 Hulk that came out. They tried to with the next generation, they did the same exact thing. Same move, same everything.
They made an Iron Man movie game from the first Iron Man movie. That was really fun too.
It was great. And the graphics for its time were amazing.
You can fly around and all the different suits, and they all had different stats and everything. And
yeah. Yeah.
Like no one talks about that game. That game's awesome.
We talked about this a couple of months ago. How we feel like we don't know how they would make a Superman game in today's, like, how they would make a good Superman game. And I watched a YouTube video last week of this guy who was like, we've talked about for a long time how I don't know how they would make a good Superman game, but then he showed this beta footage of like, it wasn't like a scrap Superman game or anything like that, but it was a superhero like test footage game. And it was, you could fly around, you had heat vision, you had super speed, you had super strength, you could like bust through buildings, like the destructible environment type stuff. And it was all in engine, and like all you had to do was put a cape on him, and it was a Superman game. And it was like, this is how you do it. Like this whole platform right here is how you do it. You create this miniature open world. Like, obviously you're not going to fly around the earth as Superman. We're not there yet. But like this, you create this large, maybe multi-city, like Grand Theft Auto level size map. And you're like, okay, maybe the issue is like there's a red sun situation going on where like somebody has created this artificial red sun and it's weakening Superman's powers, and like he can't leave the area, and just things like that. But like,
The most common reason I see when people talk about Superman game, it's like, well, how do you do progression? Because he's in yellow light and he has everything, and like,
right.
well, maybe Lex Luthor hits him with like a red sun bomb, and he can only leap tall buildings in a single bound, and he just has super strength. And
Right.
it's kind of like a Metroid where you unlock abilities as you go on. Like, oh, now I can fly. Now I have heat vision. Now I have X-ray vision. Like, so, but it's because he got hit with a red sun bomb.
Yeah.
And kind of like an Arkham, or with Batman, you don't start off with everything, and that's why those games are so much fun to play, is because like you progress, you get new tools, new skills, and you would have to do that with Superman, just in a very specific way, you know?
Yeah. Instead of tools as powers, and right. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Maybe it's you could do it like this. So Star Labs is the thing in Metropolis. So you could do it like where Lex Luthor or Brainiac or somebody on a more powerful scale comes and creates this artificial red sun in the atmosphere of the Earth that casts its light and it affects Superman's powers. And Star Labs, the whole time you're doing this stuff, Star Labs is like trying to counteract it with these serums or whatever that you inject Superman with every so often, and it like gives, you know what I mean? Like it reintroduces the yellow sun oxygenated blood cells into his body, and like it helps, you know what I mean? Kind of like
Maybe.
I don't know, but it's just, you could do it. It could be done. The engine stuff, like what I saw, it's not out of realism as far as like size and scope and what technical requirements it would take. It's just now, how do you make it make sense and the story? So I think it'll happen. But
no, that was very coveted. In fact, I remember in DC Fandome last year, because like it was announced Rocksteady was gonna drop something, and it's like, this is it. This is the Superman game. Here it comes. Like since Arkham Knight, like people have been clamoring for Superman, but I don't know, dude. I don't know why there hasn't really been that yet, because Rocksteady could for sure do it because they understand the character very well, and DC very well. Maybe it's just a higher up decision. Maybe the higher ups don't think Superman is as marketable anymore.
Maybe.
There's an element of truth to that, but I mean, it's still Superman.
So did you see, maybe not, they changed Superman's slogan. So you remember Superman's slogan used to be, truth, justice, and the American way?
Mm-hmm.
So they got rid of that. They scrapped it. And now it's truth, justice, and a better tomorrow is what they've replaced American way with a better tomorrow, which makes sense because Superman's not American. He's Kryptonian or whatever. But like,
he's a global phenomenon now too.
Right.
So
I think
sense.
They're trying to get away from that nationalism type thing with Superman, and Superman still kind of represents like that whole, original 1950s ideal superhero. You know what I mean? The big strong white guy that can do whatever he wants, and he does it under the control of the American dream. You know what I mean? Like that was it. So I think Batman is a little more rebellious than that. And also, you notice this too. They're starting, like with the Court of Owls in the video game and in the movie, they're starting to play at that eat the rich idea. like this money is dirty money. You know what I mean? Like you're rich, and it's not good that you're rich. It's no longer you're a billionaire playboy philanthropist. You know, you're a rich kid that inherited your money, and it's dirty money. You know what I mean? So like, I think there's a lot of cultural plays going on right now with games and movies and stuff. So I think they're just trying to like pick and choose their battles in that aspect.
Do you think that's going to be an element in the Batman movie? Like,
You
yeah,
mean
it's going
the
to
one
play a
that's coming
part.
out? Yeah, yeah. Have you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Court of Owls is going to be in the new Batman movie. That's what.
Oh wait, are you talking about the Batman movie right now?
I'm talking. Well, I'm talking about Batman in general, like with the Gotham Knights thing, how the Court of Owls is in that.
Okay.
And then in the new
Well,
Batman movie,
yeah.
where the Court of Owls has been referenced in that, I think they're playing at the whole, you know, billionaires are bad type thing, like, you know, corporate money or dirty money or whatever it is. I think they're just kind
A
of
bunch of rich folk in a secret dark cult that run the world and do evil things behind. That ain't true. That doesn't happen in real life, Jackson. That's not true.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. I just see it, and so I feel like as far as what I was saying, as far as like why they haven't made a Superman game, because Superman's image is just kind of like a non-popular cultural image, as to where like Batman, because he's rebellious and is just like, you know.
I don't think that's true. I just don't think anyone knows really how to do a game. Who doesn't want to play a Superman and
Oh no, of course,
thrash folks?
of course.
I think you can still do a good story. I don't really think that has anything to do with it. I just think that it's really freaking hard to make a dang Superman game because, like I said, he hits yellow sunlight and you're already max level.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
true.
you're already the end game. So how do you turn that into a game? Same with Flash. Like, how do you do Flash or
right? Because like Flash can run around the world and stuff. Like, how is he limited to one city?
Like, what the heck does a Flash game look like?
Dude,
you know?
I can't wait. I can't wait for the day that we're like 50 or 60 years old and they've got games where every building you can enter, you can leave the planet and go to some other planet in space, all in like no cutscene. You just get in a spaceship, you fly out.
There's an indie game called Megaton Rainfall that's like that, but it's an indie game and it's very basic. But like you play as like a super being and you can like fly to Mars, but like it's so basic and simple, but the principle is there. And I'm like, oh, we're getting there, man. One day you can just do that in games.
Yeah.
That's what GTA 10 is gonna be like.
Yeah. The day that happens,
just go to the moon.
Where you're just on planet, off planet, underwater, above water, wherever, in any building, every building, you know, you can have a family and a job and a 401k and you know what I mean, whatever.
At that point, it's just Ready Player One. People just live in these virtual realities.
Yeah.
That's
well. Well, I think we've covered a lot, and we've done a good job.
Finally,
we've done a good job just being us two. We've done an hour and 18 minutes here.
We finally have had some content to talk about because, like I said, it's just been a drought recently. It feels like nothing really's been dropped, but here we are. We made it.
Yeah, I think the next thing is Eternals, so that'll be that'll be a good one. You gonna come with me for that one? You didn't come with me for Venom.
Yeah, I will, and I will for that. And I need to watch Shang-Chi too. I've kind of been putting that on the back burner.
All you need to know.
I've been doing,
all you need to know
for Shang-Chi
is that the rings are some ancient alien technology or some technology that nobody has any idea where they came from, and
really,
So it's at the end credit scene for Shang-Chi. Like the current Avengers are like trying to figure out where the rings came from, and what's her face? Captain Marvel's like it's not alien. I've never seen anything like that before. And Bruce Banner's like, it's carbon dating puts it back like blah blah blah, like this old, like it's been on the planet for this long, like before humans were even a thing. So like nobody knows like where they came from or anything like that. So I think the Eternals may have some sort of answer for that or something in that realm. But yeah, that's really all it is. Also, Bruce Banner in the scene. So Captain Marvel had like her short haircut, and Bruce Banner in the scene had like a sling over his arm from the snap. When he brought everybody back, his arm is still like injured and he's in a sling. So I don't know if that's
He's
like,
not Bruce Banner though, right? Like he's not
yeah,
Professor Hulk anymore now,
right. He's
right?
Bruce Banner, right? So
He went back to normal. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know if that's, I don't know the time frame, like when Shang-Chi takes place. But Shang-Chi is an Avengers now. He is an
Okay.
Avenger. So, you know, you
Cool.
got Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, Captain Marvel, Hulk, I guess Falcon and or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Poor Doctor Strange, man.
yeah.
Poor Doctor Strange, dude.
He's a relic now, dude.
He has his work cut out for him, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, bro. I think that's where we call it. I think we've done good. So
Yeah.
thank you for everybody that has listening. All however many of you there are. We'll be back at some point in the future to talk about things that have happened, whenever that may be.
Yeah.
With whoever that may be with. It'll be me.
I want another Jackson Fireside story about some random element of Marvel.
Dude, you know
like
what?
he did at the time.
Maybe that's what I can do, dude. Maybe
that's
every
great.
episode I will have some. You didn't know this, but here we're gonna talk about it for about 25 minutes, so I can explain.
Let's do it. Let's do a Marvel and a DC one. Let's educate the people.
Oh yeah, we'll do that.
Like here's what these studios are ignoring. Like here's all this great source material they'll never adapt
Right.
into movies.
Right. Here's what could be. Here's a DC's what
Yeah.
if.
DC,
Yeah.
what if?
Yeah.
What if Warner Brothers knew what they were doing?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Boom. Roasted.
They could have made a cinematic universe right up there with Marvel. We
Yeah.
could have had two awesome universes of movies, but no.
Yeah. All right. I'm calling it. All right. Well, I've been Jackson, and that has been Christian, and thank you for coming out. Have
Yes, sir.
a safe ride home.
Yeah.